It's the moment where he realizes that he's just walked. He didn't even walk, he galloped straight into the
and just
trap.
gave a perfect definition of what abortion actually is.
Exactly. He defined what it is in trying to defend it. He said the words, she is intentionally trying to kill a child. That's the three pillars of pro-life. Intentional, killing, child. Hello and welcome to Off the Party Line with me, your host, Mark Williams, as ever, joined by my wonderful co-host, Mr. Peter Farrington. Peter, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well, Mark. Yeah, how are you?
Doing well. It's good to have you back. We're on episode 4 now.
Up to 4, yeah.
Scenes. Well, I mean, we're practically YouTube experts now.
Yeah.
So we've got episode 4. Welcome to episode 4, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to have you back with us. If you haven't seen our first 3 episodes, the first one I was wearing shorts. That was fun.
Yeah, and then we've, I think, pretty much got ourselves cancelled in the 2 following that.
Yeah, I haven't felt too cancelled so far. Maybe, I don't know, is this how it's supposed to feel? I don't know. It feels all right so far. Let's carry on, shall we? Shall we keep going?
I'm chomping at the bit for this one.
Well, on the topic of trying to get ourselves cancelled, we're going to talk about some topics today, Pete. We've got a couple of clips that we're going to go through, and we're going to react live to these clips. So we have seen these, but we're going to run them through. We're going to take a look. They're only short clips, but the first one, we are going to take a bit of a look at this guy. I think he's in America, but he's got a bit of an interesting take.
He has.
That we are going to have a little look at. So let's have a little look at this guy's take, and then we're going to react to it.
Being in favor of reproductive rights, first and foremost, protects the life of the mother and protects the life of the person that is already living and is the person that is able to bring more life into this world should they choose. Furthermore, it protects the life of children. There are so many children that currently exist in this world that were forced to be born because of legislation, because of men that have decided for women. And so as a result, many children have grown up into a unsupportive, unhealthy, and outright challenging household that hasn't been a life that any child should live. And so being in favor of reproductive choice helps the life of children everywhere because they don't have to grow up in a world that dislikes them because they simply exist. Being in favor of reproductive.
So,
wow,
an interesting take from Kurt Kaufman, who is an associate minister of the American Baptist Churches USA, Peter. And this title of this little clip is Repro Rights, Protect Life. And how long is it? About 45 seconds. 45 seconds. There's a lot in there.
There's a lot. I just don't know where to begin.
Well, can we begin first by, we need to frame this. We did this in episode 1 or 2. You and I are men.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, normally that would apparently preclude us from having an opinion on this topic. Yeah. However, I would like to point out, apparently this guy is allowed to have an opinion. So I'm going to claim the right to have an opinion because he does.
To be fair, he could have a uterus. We just don't know.
That is very true. I've made some assumptions there.
Yeah, you have.
So on the assumption that him is allowed to talk about this, we're also going to talk about this.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds
permission
good.
Granted.
All right. So he's a minister.
Whoa.
An associate minister. Okay. Right. So what comes to mind first of all for me is that the faith that he claims to have is the faith that he claims to have in Jesus Christ is based on the fact that Jesus Christ suffered more than anyone else had ever or will ever to rescue, to redeem a people for himself. Right. So how can he say that we should, because people might be born into a life of suffering, that we should just protect them by ending their life? I mean, should Mary have aborted baby Jesus? I mean, she should have on that basis.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? So he strikes a couple of points here, which do seem to now. And also, to be fair, you've made the assumption here that he believes in Jesus. I mean, I guess he's a minister of a Baptist church. It's probably a fair enough assumption. I wonder if it's the same Jesus that, as you say, died for our sins, rose again on the third day, is the good shepherd calling to his sheep. But who knows what his Christology is? I mean, based on this take, I mean, this is actually nothing to do. So it's only the imagery here. So this imagery that he's got for himself, he's got this get-up seems to be indicating he's a minister. There's often, I find with a lot of these sort of progressive Christian leaders, you'll often find they very much overdo. I'm not saying he's necessarily overdone it, but you often see a lot of.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, okay. But you see a lot of this. Like, there's always, it's very often a dog collar or some sort of imagery there. They always often have robes on. They'll very much to sort of sit and present as I am a minister of the gospel visually. But if you took all that away and you took away associate minister, there's nothing in anything that he just said to suggest that he's a Christian.
Yeah, completely. Well, it would just, everything he said suggests that he hates God and is in rebellion.
Correct. So we make the link because of, what it says here. Let's run it again and we'll take it bit by bit. Okay. Because there's a lot here to go through.
Being in favor of reproductive rights, first and foremost, protects the life of the mother.
Okay. So be in favor of reproductive rights, first and foremost, protect the life of the mother. So this is the common argument. So fine. That's the foundation. Okay. We'll go from there.
And protects the life of the person that is already living.
Okay. Protect the life of the person already living.
At least he affirms the personhood. That's probably the only positive thing that I could say about any of this. He does affirm their personhood, which not everyone will.
Well, I will say that he affirmed their personhood. He did not affirm her womanhood or her motherhood. Don't know if you call. You see, I'm getting used to catching these things now, Peter. I'm starting to get in tune. But it's very subtle there, isn't it?
Yeah.
He did not affirm her womanhood or her motherhood. But anyway, so it protects the life of the person already living. Okay. I'd be interested to hear what that protection actually looks like.
Yeah.
What does it mean to say it protects that life? What abortion protects that life?
By ending it.
By ending a life that is current. Yeah. I don't get that, but anyway, let's see what it says.
And is the person that is able to bring more life into this world.
Yes, is able to bring more life into this world, which she is currently in the process, or they, them are currently in the process of doing. What him is in favor of is ending that now. So in what sense is that person who is bringing forth new life, is this some future state where they're in future going to bring forth new life? What's it?
Yeah. And how would we know when we should continue to allow that life to grow based on what, if we're all about protecting that life, and you're saying that we might sometimes need to protect it by ending it, who's making that judgment and on what basis?
Yeah, sounds slightly twisted to me, but anyway.
Should they choose. Furthermore, it protects the life of children. There are so many children that currently exist in this world that were forced to be born.
Whoop. Okay. So it protects children.
Were you forced to be born?
I think there was a certain amount of force applied to me.
Yeah.
So I'm given to it. So we just need to make sure we've got this straight. So abortion, reproductive rights, protects children. Peter.
with arguments like this, you do have to you have to pretend that there is something magical about the birth canal, and once a baby passes through it, it is then granted full personhood and human rights, or I should say birth rights. And you just apply the logic that he's using to any situation with a human being who's been forced to be born, and you say, okay, so children who are in the foster care system and they've just had a horrendous start to life, should we just get rid of them all? I mean,
Well,
where does this end?
Well, this is the thing, right? So we've got the sad imagery of a young girl here on this, where we've stopped it on this screenshot. We've got the sad music. Obviously, we need the sad music. We've got this image of a young girl who looks very sad, and she's looking longingly out of a window. What does this gentleman think should happen to this girl?
And what do you think? What do you think this young girl is wishing for?
Yeah. So this is obviously giving us the impression that this is a very unhappy child in an unhappy family, I guess, is the imagery that we're supposed to be looking at here. So he's saying that these children should not have to have been in this situation. Okay. Well, the obvious question is, well, this child is in this situation, so what should we do now? I hesitate to say that he would suggest that this young girl should be killed. I don't think he would say that.
Yeah.
But logically,
yeah,
I don't understand the difference.
yeah.
What he is saying, again, if we are to assume that this still is the metaphor that he's going for, she should have been killed before she was born, because this situation is too heartrending and too difficult.
Yeah, they should have given her a consent form in the womb.
That's right. Yeah, they should not have forced her to be born.
Yeah.
In this situation.
Yeah. But it's like, by what standard are you going to apply this? By what standard are you going to say that a life is worth living? And again, we have to assume that he is in some way sees himself as a Christian. And by what standard is he saying all of this? He's making the claim that it's bad for someone to suffer, for a child to suffer. To which we would say, well, by what standard? Why is it a sad thing? Why is it bad that people suffer at all? And if you're a Christian, a Bible-believing Christian, then you have an answer to that. But you have to also take the entirety of Scripture, and you cannot look at Scripture, you cannot even have a gospel whilst maintaining the position that abortion is in any way defensible. Like I said at the top, like the gospel completely falls apart. So it is by what standard? Who's going to judge that someone's life is not happy enough?
He's also making the assumption that abortions are only happening by women who are in difficult situations. Now, of course, a lot of them are, but that's not all.
No, we know that a huge amount of abortions are repeat abortions, and it is a form of birth control.
We saw, I've forgotten it, was it Lily Allen who said how many abortions she'd had? And it's like, well, how rich is she? And how, so, what, you can't give a child a good life, really? I mean, I don't understand. But also, it's a very westernized view, isn't it, of this sort of thing? Like, you're basically calling for quite a lot of countries in the world to not be able to reproduce. How many countries would you apply? Well, let's apply at what in the UK they would call child poverty, which is, it's a discussion for another time. Apply that level to any of about
in the developing
sort of
world,
60, 70 countries, and you wouldn't allow them to have any children at all. Is that what he's saying? Because this child might suffer. And what's suffering? Is that physical suffering, mental suffering, financial suffering? these are all relative terms as well. So anyway.
Yeah.
Because of legislation, because of men that have decided for women. And so as a result,
Okay, so because of legislation and because of men who have decided for women. Right. So I mentioned this right at the start. So this is a man who's got an opinion about abortion. He's not going to be, I can't imagine, shouted down by women going, "You're a man, you can't have an opinion about abortion. No uterus, no opinion." Well, he's got an opinion. So is that allowed? Is that okay?
Well, he's got the correct opinion, so
That's
it
true.
is allowed. Yeah.
He's allowed.
Yeah.
But he's a man, we assume. Fine.
many children have grown up into a unsupportive, unhealthy, and outright challenging household.
Did he say
Okay.
challenging household?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he said downright challenging.
Downright challenging. Okay.
Let's hear it again.
That have decided for women. And so as a result, many children have grown up into a unsupportive, unhealthy, and outright challenging household.
Yeah. So unsupportive, unhealthy households. Again, I want to ask this very simple question. So when they're born and they are in an unhealthy, unsupportive, downright challenging household, we should be merciful to them.
Yeah, we should be
and
very merciful.
cut off their
Yeah.
arms and legs and their head and be done with it.
Yeah.
Which is what happens in an abortion.
Yeah. Just make the suffering end.
Because I don't understand the difference. None of these arguments apply. None of these arguments seem to apply to the delineation of birth, right? So he's not making any of the classic arguments around gestational periods. When does a life become a life? All of that's out the window. He's only talking about children who are forced. And I put that in quotes. But okay, fair enough. I'll use your word. Children who are forced into life and into a household that is unsupportive and unhealthy. So the same applies to them before and after they're born, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think another thing I would say is because obviously this is most reasonable people would be able to see that this is insane. It's a completely ridiculous argument. Yeah, incoherent, inconsistent. You can't. Yeah, but it is the most. It's a very extreme version of something which, like a view that a lot of people hold. This whole idea of like, well, I'm holistically pro-life. So, and you get a lot of this in the church as well, like people who are just terrified of saying anything black and white about abortion. They just won't do it, even if they, screech endlessly about social justice. They just cannot bring themselves to say anything about this issue by using this, I'm holistically pro-life, or like womb to the tomb, which is, just other ways of saying, like, trying to appear superior morally, and this sort of pharisaical demeanor, and looking down at people like us who would just say absolutely no in any circumstance. But this is the logical extension of that kind of idea that people suffer all over the world, and we should really focus on just having less of that.
Yeah.
So this is it, in a way, if you're going to hold to that position, this is kind of the logical extension.
I agree. I think a lot of people who would say that they are pro-choice, to use the euphemistic term, a lot of them would be horrified by this argument as well. But I would simply just point out to them, what has he taken from your position to a logical end that you would disagree with? There's a lot of people, particularly in the UK, who would say, like, there's a cut-off of gestation. So what is it? Is it 20 weeks in the UK, or was it earlier than that? I can't remember.
I think it's a little bit later.
Was it 24 maybe?
I think so.
Yeah, there's some line, well, until the recent amendment, which decriminalized it till birth. But that aside, officially it's 24 weeks. I don't understand what the difference is supposed to be between the two. But someone who would say, that's about right, we've got it. where it should be, this is the right compromise, would look at this and go, well, that's just clearly shocking. And I go, yes, it is shocking. Take what you're hearing and continue to apply it. But yeah.
That hasn't been a life that any child should live. And so
not a life that any child should live. Any child. Again, it's just smacks of like modern Western ideals of, if you're not able to dress like me and sit in a nice warm studio with a lovely microphone, then basically you shouldn't be allowed to live.
I mean, how many people throughout all of history should just never have?
Well, we've talked about this before, haven't we? I mean, this really does preclude Mary from giving birth to the Son of God, to the incarnate, Messiah. How many more difficult circumstances could a woman have been in? She was unmarried. She was in a backwards part of, year zero Judea.
Yeah.
She is going to face incredible shame. She's going to face judgment. She's young. Like, all of those circumstances are grave. They're really serious and really difficult.
Mm.
So by this man's standards, Jesus is going to be born into such a difficult situation that Mary should have had the choice to kill Jesus.
Yeah.
Long before, he was going to be born, raised, and give himself as a sacrifice.
And suffer on our behalf.
And suffer. No child should suffer. Who wants children to suffer? No one wants children to suffer. But how on earth does that give anyone the right to kill them?
Yeah, and he's the one actually positively advocating for suffering.
Anyway, another young girl who he probably wants dead there. Let's carry on.
So being in favor of reproductive choice helps the life of children everywhere.
Being in favor of reproductive choice helps the lives of children everywhere, including this young woman, apparently.
Wow.
According to the music. I'm struggling to follow that piece of music or anything.
No, did he misspeak?
He can't have misspoken. It's a 45-second edited clip. Like, what? Doesn't make any sense. Let's watch it to the end and pick it up.
Because they don't have to grow up in a world that dislikes them because they simply exist.
What?
Let's create a world where...
What?
Let's create a world where we stop them from existing in the first place.
I'm genuinely baffled. I mean, look, we have serious disagreements with these sorts of people, but generally they're more logical than this. Now, I can never get my head around how anyone approves of this stuff, but there are arguments where you go, that is a difficult one. Yep, that's a hard one. Yep, I can see why you're saying that. I don't agree, but I can see it. That was 45 seconds of, as far as I'm concerned, pure evil.
Oh yeah.
I can't understand it. This man has approved this message going out. What was that at the end, by the way? Interfaithallianceco.org. So protect faith and freedom.
Oh, interfaith. So like the Satanists, probably.
Yeah. That must be what it is.
Yeah.
Satan has joined the Interfaithallianceco.org. Yeah, it genuinely just makes no sense. Nothing of what he said does not apply to pre or post birth.
Yeah. And I think you really do just have to make the comparison every time, because just all arguments fall apart.
So only in this instance, sometimes you will only know that you are going to suffer or be in a household that is, what were the words he used? Challenging and unhealthy, unsupportive. Well, you might be born into a supportive, healthy household that within a month disintegrates. There might be a breakdown of relationships. parent might pass away, or somehow it becomes unhealthy in some other way. So at that point, death.
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't want the lower class, like working class, moving up and getting to.
This is one of the alarming things, though, Pete, because I don't think this necessarily applies to the UK, but it does apply to the USA, where black women have a greater proportion of abortions. I assume he is in favour of that, given that, as I'm given to understand, black people unfortunately suffer more poverty, more crime, more of these sorts of things in the USA, which is obviously tragic. They also have more abortions. Now, this fellow would surely go, well, that's a good thing, because these poor black kids are now not going to be brought into an unhealthy, unsupportive, challenging environment.
So dark. So dark.
And how many wider communities is that going to
Yeah.
I mean, that could apply to whole districts of whole cities. Honestly, I can't get my head around the logic of it. I genuinely can't. And again, given that so many abortions happen by, women who are in a perfectly healthy situation, they just don't want to have a baby. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the situation there? What does he think those women should do? Because them having an abortion doesn't solve any of the problems that he just suggested.
Right. Well, this is the thing. So many arguments also begin with the very emotive situations and the rare cases, and it's like, okay, so are you only arguing for abortion in these cases, or and then the answer is always, oh no, I want it for everyone. So it's like, okay, so why do you even mention the child who might be born into a really challenging, unsupportive home if you're actually advocating it for everyone everywhere?
Exactly. I don't
just go the whole way, just own it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just own it. If you are pro-choice, quote unquote, I would call it pro-abortion, then just say it. Just say it. I don't need to justify why I think this. I just, based on my beliefs of individual autonomy and freedom, I don't believe that the occupant of the womb is a human being. Therefore, this is what I believe. Now, that is wrong, but is logically consistent. All of this sort of weird jiggery pokery around, where people are going to be born into and the situation of their life giving you any kind of control over whether they should live or die, frankly, is eugenicist, genocidal. I mean, what
evil.
else do you want to call it?
Yeah. Well, so when Jesus talked about hell, which he did quite a lot.
He did mention it once or twice.
Yeah.
In one of his less Christian moments.
Yeah. One of his less Christ-like moments. Yeah. So the word which, we read in our English Bibles, hell, is Gehenna in the Aramaic, I think, and which is which in the Hebrew is Vinum, the valley of Hinnom.
Yeah.
Which was the site just outside Jerusalem where the pagan practice of child sacrifice was committed, and in the times of rebellion by God's people, and so there is really something hellish about this. And as much as we, even in this conversation, we're using these euphemisms of abortion, it is child sacrifice, and it's however you want to dress it up. It's pure evil.
Yeah, it's disgraceful, and I think for this guy to have put that out, I just don't get it. What we do often love to see is when these arguments are actually challenged, right? So when you do actually have the chance to put this to people. So that was obviously a fellow who was able to just chat nonsense for 45 seconds without being challenged. The next clip we're going to watch is from Timcast. So this is Tim Pool's podcast. I think it's Timcast IRL. It's a bit of an oldie, this one. I don't know how long ago this was, but I remember seeing it at the time and thinking it was brilliant. Now, as far as I'm aware, Tim Pool is pro-choice.
Yeah, that's The idea of
I
I've had
imagine he's probably moved on this over time, but I don't think he would have moved to the quote unquote pro-life position or anti-abortion position as I like to have it. But in this, he's playing devil's advocate. It's a good clip. He's got a progressive guest on with him, and he asks the obvious question. So let's watch the whole clip, and then we'll react to it.
Hold on. Colorado legalized abortion in up to 9 months with no medical reason required. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that decision, yes.
What about meth?
Like, should she be allowed to do meth?
Yeah.
I think if someone is doing meth while they're pregnant, that it is completely acceptable for something like, I don't know what the name of the service is in the United States.
Child services?
Child,
Well, it's her body, though.
Yeah, it's her body.
If she wants to do meth, what's the big deal?
The big deal is that she's intentionally trying to kill a child.
Hold on there a minute.
Yeah, and I see where we're going.
Hold on.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's so good. My favorite bit of the clip, and I know it's why it went viral in the first place. And this is a longer conversation, by the way, and it's well worth going to watch the whole podcast actually, because it is brilliant. It's the moment where he realizes that he's just walked. He didn't even walk; he galloped straight into the
and just
trap.
gave a perfect definition of what abortion actually is.
Exactly. He defined what it is in trying to defend it. He said the words, she is intentionally trying to kill a child. That's the 3 pillars of pro-life. Intentional, killing, child. And he knows it.
Yeah. Because this God's law is written on our hearts. And as much as we try and escape that fact, we still hint at it all the time. Even like the weirdo before, he's still hinting at it. He knows that there's something bad about suffering, that there's something, there is something valuable about human life. He's just got it totally messed up.
Exactly. And this guy is, Colorado has legalized this up until birth. Yeah, I agree with that. So what he said there is, and that's the extreme position again, right? The extreme position is up till birth. Now, a 9-month gestation baby. I mean, I don't know who is arguing that that's not a human life. I mean, really. I know people want to argue about 6 weeks gestation. Fine, let's have that argument. We obviously will disagree. But ain't nobody arguing 9 months gestation. My eldest son went 9 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days ish. So nearly 10 months he gestated for. So the legislation there in Colorado, as far as Tim Pool just said, is up till birth. So that's not even that's any moment. If you go well over, he was, my son was over 10 pounds when he was born. And he was 9 months, 3 weeks, and some days gestated. And this fella just casually said, "Yeah, I agree with that."
It's incredible.
Moments before he admits it is the intentional killing of a child. Let's watch it again because it's just beautiful, and I want to break it down so Tim Pool sets it up again.
Hold on. Colorado legalized abortion in up to 9 months with no medical reason required.
Okay, so that's the setup. Up to 9 months with no reason required. Okay?
Do you agree with
that? I agree with that decision, yes.
I agree with that decision, which is basically him saying, I am pro-choice at all times until birth. Okay? Fine. So then here we come with the setup.
What about meth?
Like, should she be allowed to do meth?
Yeah.
I think if someone is doing meth while they're pregnant, that it is completely acceptable for something like, I don't know what the name of the service is in the United States.
Child services?
Well,
it's her body, though.
So he's saying, in that instance, you would call child services and child services would come and deal with the mother. Okay. Well, implicit in that assumption is the word child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You ain't calling fetus services.
Yeah. And that's where conscience is.
It's like, you're calling child services. Why? Why are you calling child services? There is no child, right?
Yeah.
Where's the child? A woman is doing meth. As Timple says, whoa, it's her body. Her body, her choice, right? So what's the big deal?
Yeah, it's her body.
If she wants to do meth, what's the big deal?
The big deal is that she's intentionally trying to kill a child.
Okay, you can see in his eyes. He's just said it, but he hasn't realized.
It's great. And even the way that he used the word child, it's just.
Anyway, she's intentionally trying to kill a child. Watch Tim's face.
Hold on there a minute.
Oh, he knows he's got him.
Hold on there a minute.
He must be moving
He must
away
be.
from pro.
I hope he is.
pro-abortion.
I've not watched Timcast for a long time, to be fair.
How can you see such a flawed argument? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's Tim's face. He knows he's got him. And he's playing devil's advocate as far as we're concerned at this point. So Tim's got him.
Yeah, and I see where we're going.
Yep, you got me. Yep. Yep. We're going to watch a final clip that sort of wraps this all up a little bit. Now, there's a phrase called saying the choir part out loud.
Yes.
And what we are about to witness is a member of the House of Lords doing exactly that. You want to hear the choir part out loud. You want to hear what's really behind a lot of this stuff. And this is not just talking about abortion. Let's hear what this Lord's got to say.
That's a minor change compared with this century's growth in the world population from 6.1 billion to 8.2 billion. A 25% increase in 25 years. But just think what the 2025 numbers would be if abortion had not been legalized, or there had not been wide-scale usage and advocacy of contraception. And indeed, the growth of homosexuality throughout society has reduced the number of children we would have had the churches had their way. We would have had a very much bigger population than we presently have, facing the difficulties we have with climate change.
Okay. I don't think a lot of people ostensibly on his side will have thanked him for that.
Yeah. I wonder if he's got children or grandchildren and what they would think listening to that. One thing that jumped out to me is a phrase towards the end where he said, the church has had their way.
I did want to get to that, yeah.
Sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but...
No, go for it.
But
because you're absolutely right. That's the phrase to pick out.
A lot of churches did have their way. There's some interesting research that the Evangelical Alliance did, I think, around 2015 into into the positions that their members have on abortion. And it was a shockingly small percentage of people who actually were totally opposed to abortion.
It doesn't surprise me.
And, it's not surprising at all based on, the silence from our churches on this issue. So, yeah, it was interesting you said that, because I'm like, had the churches had their way? Well, did we make much of a noise about it?
Well, this is exactly what I wanted to pick up on. I mean, if the churches had had their way, if only, as you say, the church actually did have a position on this sort of stuff that was sensible. It, as a whole, does not. It's going to depend on what you want to charitably allow to be called a church.
Yeah.
I imagine that research takes the very charitable view of what is a church. I am probably personally a lot less charitable as to what I would call a church.
Increasingly so.
But, but let's ostensibly assume that, the church is the church and is generally conservative in its views on these things and would have, made a noise about these sorts of things. I don't know if the new Archbishop of Canterbury would have made a particular noise about these sorts of things, but maybe we'll leave that for another episode. If the church had got its way and stopped hundreds of thousands a year, now into millions of children being slaughtered in the womb.
Yeah. 250,000 from the last year, I think.
What a horror that we may have had our way, that
Yeah.
those babies would have been born
Yeah.
and would have lived. But they would have been contributing to climate change or something.
Maybe he should he'd love the CCP, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Chinese Communist Party.
Well,
Yeah.
he's a member of the House of Lords, which is, I think it's second only to the, in terms of numbers of members, second only to the chamber in China. So I think he'd be right at home in Chinese legislative politics, to be totally honest. He'd certainly be used to the amount of people who are around.
It's shocking, though.
Although too many people, according to this fella.
You know what else is we've had abortion. What else did he mention? Homosexuality.
Contraception.
Wars have really helped well.
That's true.
We could have more wars.
We could have more wars. There's a couple kicked off.
Yeah.
We've just had a ceasefire declared in the Middle East.
It's a shame.
That's a shame.
That would have
isn't it?
helped. That would have helped.
Would have really helped.
Yeah.
Apparently there was the genocide going on or something.
Do you know what? We could get him to team up with that minister over in the States, and he could, if they just identify those.
Yeah, they should.
Those poor children who are suffering.
That's right. They get rid of all the children that are suffering. That genocide that's just been paused, we should start that again. Because I've heard that genocides, I think they kill quite a lot of people. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be enough, but, President Trump's just managed to get these two sides to stop killing each other. So I think this fella needs to step in. Obviously, Putin is doing God's work,
Yes.
invading Ukraine and killing all those people. So that's good. Yeah, you're right. War is a really good way of reducing
Fantastic.
the population.
Yeah. We could have another pandemic.
We should have another pandemic, yeah.
Yeah, he could go to China.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. We haven't had a world war for a while. We should kick one of those off, maybe. I mean, look, we're obviously being flippant about this stuff, but it's just, this has been said openly in the British Parliament. I mean, openly. No one's challenged him. No, everyone's just sat round him as he says the quiet part out loud, going, yeah, that makes sense. Like, no one stood up and gone, are you serious right now?
Isn't it crazy as well that we just stumbled upon this on X? This was...
Yeah, it's just, it's unbelievable. So that's all the clips that we are responding to today, Pete. I mean, plenty going on there. It sometimes still shocks me that these people are willing to say this stuff out loud.
Yeah.
The logical inconsistencies, to stand up and say it in Parliament, that's where we are.
There are people who have been really going at this for a long time, just quietly, week in, week out. But we need a lot more. We need entire churches to wake up and to see what time it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are going to wrap it up there, but thank you so much for joining us once again. This has been Off the Party Line. If you enjoyed this episode, please do give us a nice big like, a big thumbs up, and do subscribe to the channel. Watch the previous episodes if you haven't already seen them. Leave us a comment below. Look, we know that some people are not going to agree with us. Feel free to stick your hate in the comments. Absolutely fine with us. And also, if you're in agreement, just let us know. It's big topics, obviously. But we are looking to cover these, so there'll be more episodes coming your way. Please do subscribe. But that is going to be us. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Take care. Thank you so much for watching. If you like that, please do remember to give us a nice big thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more episodes that are coming soon, please subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more coming your way.